everybody. Today I'm going to introduce you to a book from the Moosling series called Moosling in Winter. The author is Sharon Fear and the illustrator is John Bendel Brunello. Now, if this is the first book you're reading in this Moosling series, let me give you a little bit of background. So here's Moosling on the cover, and he's a young moose who's the main character in all of these books in the series. And because he's so young, he still has a lot to learn. And a lot of times you're going to find in his books, or these Moosling books, he makes some pretty silly mistakes, or there are some silly things that he just doesn't understand yet because he's just a little too young. So that usually leads to him having some type of problem that he needs to solve. If we open up to page 2, the setting of this story is a place where the winters are very, very cold. And that's where Moosling lives. And it lets us know in these first few pages here, it starts with a setting lead telling us that leaves were falling, snow was falling, and Moosling's even seeing ice on the pond. So something that's going to be really important while you're reading this book is to pay really careful attention to the illustrations, because the illustrator did a really good job of including some important details to help us understand the story better. If I turn here, if you take a moment to notice the details of the illustration on these pages, what happens is Moosling asks Duck where she was going, and he finds out that Duck, Goose, and Robin, and all the other birds were flying away to a warmer place for the winter. And I'm wondering if some of you have heard this word before, migrate. So this word is not actually in the story, but that's the word that we can use to describe what the birds are doing. Migrate is when a bird flies away to a warmer climate during the winter months, and then after the cold weather is over, they return back. So that's what some of the characters in this book are going to be doing, all of the birds. Now, if we turn to page 7 here, Moosling runs into Frog, and Frog dug down into the mud and plans to sleep there all winter long. And I also have a feeling that some of you probably have some background knowledge about what Frog is doing, so I added the word hibernate here. So hibernate is another word that's not in the book, but it's describing what's happening in the story. So Frog is going to be one of the creatures that hibernates all winter by sleeping in the mud to stay warm. Are you starting to notice a pattern at all of what's happening to Moosling's friends? So many of his friends we're going to learn as we continue reading either sleep all winter or migrate. So Moosling is feeling pretty, here's the word, disappointed. Okay? And disappointed means when something doesn't go the way that you were hoping or expecting, and you're feeling a little bit let down or sad. So that's how Moosling's feeling right now in the middle of this story. It's just too quiet in the woods for him once all his friends are either gone or sleeping. So now it's going to be your turn to go read and find out what Moosling learned in his first winter. As you're reading, you might find some parts that are humorous or where the author and illustrator work together to show humor. Remember, humor means something that's funny. It'll be really important, like I said, as you're reading, to pay careful attention to the illustrations when you're looking for some examples of humor, because they might not be in the words or the text, they might actually be in the pictures themselves. Happy reading!